Namaste and welcome to Yoga with Laura Ashland. Thank you for hitting the subscribe button down below and sending this to your friends in the share, and continue to subscribe to my channel and watch the videos, do the videos. Maybe you view them first and see what it's about and then join in. I have about 32 videos now. Some are 30 minutes, 60 minutes, some are 10 minutes. So there's a variety. Please go back and cycle through them again and again, and there's more coming. Yoga is a fabulous practice. I started in my early 40s, and I've been practicing for almost 20 years, and it has completely changed my physical body, but it's also changed my emotional body as well. As we're getting older, the body starts talking to you a little bit more, and my body's kind of quiet, which is good. We like it that way. This is a continuation of our series of the Tibetan Rites or Tibetan Ritual. There were 5 in the series. We're going to do 2 more today. And again, they are 5 separate exercises, but each one has 2 movements to the exercise. You can do a round of 3 or 4 with me today, and then of course you can continue it once you've learned it's very cyclical, so once you've learned it, you could do as many as you feel until you are out of breath. We don't want anaerobic breath catching up with the breath. We would like that nice connection, stay the breath steady. You've done a repetition of 10 or 15 of these, and yet the breath still feels fairly calm and steady. Once the breath gets speeding ahead of you, or of your essence, then you're doing too much. So we slow down, and it's a gradual climb. We try to go to 21, a repetition of 21. That just happens to be a magical number for the culture that kind of started this. And so here we go with the next 2. We're going to start with our feet. We're on our tushy, and we've got feet about hip-width apart. Now there are 2 parts to this particular repetition of 2 movements. And I want to show you a modified version first. We'll kind of tutorial this a little bit and get used to it, and then we'll hit the 3 or 4 repetitions. And again, you can do as many as you wish. I feel 3 or 4 is a good minimum to start. So we're going to take the hands behind us. They're kind of diagonal from the hip. I don't quite have it underneath me, but not to the edge of the mat either. So somewhere here in the middle. And I want you to note the fingertips. If that's too much, to bring the fingertips pointing toward the short line in the mat. And you want to turn out those hands a little bit. You can see I've come half mat, half floor. That's fine too, but what happens is, as we begin to put pressure and weight onto the wrist, we are twisting the carpal bones in the wrist. So we are kind of too much external rotation here in the shoulder, and the wrist begin to get twisted, so we don't want the bones to be twisted and have weight. So this is okay to start with, but I think eventually you'll want to turn that hand so that the fingertips are facing forward. The other option, I'm always full of options, is to turn the fingertips back toward the short line of the mat. This is another way of coming up in this particular piece. Just watch the extension here of the pectoralis muscle. You don't want to overextend it. You don't want to overextend anything in the shoulder girdle either. So here and here, fingers forward. Keep the shoulders internally, or actually they're neutral here, but they're safe. This tends to bring it out a little bit. This is in between, but watch the wrist. So again, 3 options for that. I'm going to pick the fingers ahead option. Now we have options for the hips. So we start here with breath. Exhale. Relax the shoulders. Find what works for you. You'll get your spacing naturally as you practice. Then on the inhale, I'm going to press my knees forward over the ankle and bring up the hip. I can recommend a head neutral, but I don't recommend a head going all the way to the back. What I just did, don't do. So maybe neutral, or certainly look straight ahead. Then as you exhale, you can drop the hip down, just touching the tailbone, resting it if you need to. Inhale, back up again. Exhale, touching the tailbone, grazing it if you wish. We don't want to plunk hard on it. Or control the descent and let the glute muscles flower away. Okay, they kind of spread out. Now, the next option for this is inhale, roll up to this reverse tabletop. Exhale, as I lower my hips, my toes came up, I press the heels, I shift my hips to the shoulders, hold, and then release. And even here, I'm finding I was too close to my hands. My fingers are I'm sitting on my hands. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to bring them out even a little bit more. So that's another option. Tabletop reverse, dropping the hip and kind of keeping the body lifted and controlling the descent, flowering the glutes as they're in the parallel hand. So it can either be in the middle of the mat or back to the shoulders. So here we go. Pick which one works for you, and we will do 3. This is the setup. Inhale, come up. Exhale, press back with the heels. Lift and lower. Inhale, swing up. Press back with the heels. Let those heels guide the hips back. Holding the hips, controlling the lowering. One more. Inhale, come up. Exhale, lower the hip, pick up those toes, press the heel, shift, and lower. And let's do the 3 for the modified folks. Inhale, come up. Exhale, lower. Inhale, come up. Exhale, lower. And again, you can lower control. Inhale, come up. Exhale, lower. So that is the 4th movement or so of the 5 movements of Tibetan ritual. Here is our next one. So we'll just bring our feet behind us, come onto the knees. I just took my scarf. I wanted to make a little extra padding for the knees. That's just about right. I don't know if a bolster, I think a bolster's too thick, too high, even my little purple one that I use. There are huge bolsters, 10-inch diameter bolsters, and those are also too big. You might have a very thin pillow, a towel, a sweatshirt under the knees, especially if you're on a floor. Or not. You don't have to have any of this. Now this will become a camel posture. I want you to know that we'll do a little tutorial again. We'll do it a modified version and a little bit more intermediate version. Okay. So we're going to lean back over the heels. So we get that nice stretch in the quadricep, nice stretch in the hip flexor here. Supporting the back. It's not a back bend yet. It really shouldn't be much of a back bend. It's mostly a heart lifting. But we're just going to come back and inhale up. Exhale, come back. Feel that nice stretch. Strengthen the quads. Inhale, come up. Exhale, back. Tighten the core, tighten the quads. Now that's one. Another version is to drop a little bit lower. Inhale, exhale, prepare. Inhale. Exhale, drop in. Inhale up. Exhale, come back. Inhale up. Exhale, come on back. Inhale, come up. Exhale, fold the thighs. That elongates those contracted thighs. You're also reflexing the hip flexors from that extension. And of course, resting the body, resting the spine. So in this little mini camel, we can just rest back and come back up. And come back and come back up. Or touching the heel if that's there for you. But the next inhale brings you up. So it's a little movement with the camel. That's not where we're settling in. The settling in camel is heel, heel, here. So this is more of a static camel, breathing. The camel that we were doing in the Tibetan ritual is just a little bit back and a little bit forward. So those are the two added to the other two, and we have one more. So follow our Tibetan ritual session. Thank you for practicing with me. Again, as many times as you wish. Namaste.